Hey, welcome to this week's show, and today we're going to be interviewing the wonderful James Armstrong. Listen, I've known James for 4 years, and in that time he started his business. Year one, banked 6 figures, over 100k in income that year, and then 2021 he went on to raise £3.5 million in joint venture finance, and today he is currently working on 9 property investment deals, big developments worth millions and millions of pounds in GDV. Let's go ahead and let's meet James right now. Hey, welcome to this week's show. You're watching and listening to Elite Entrepreneurs podcast by Alistair Cunningham, and today I am joined by the one and only Mr. James Armstrong.
Thank you for having me, man. It's a pleasure to be here. Pleasure to see you again. It's been so long.
It has, man.
I can't actually remember the last time I saw you face to face. We've spoken a bit throughout COVID.
I can't think when that was.
I'm gonna go.
It was that party.
Yes, it was the party
in London.
In London.
At Hakeem's.
Yes, that was the last time I saw you. Jeez, that was 2020.
That was just
like December 2020, November 2020, wasn't it?
It was mid-COVID house party in London. I remember that now.
That was a good event,
with the fire breather in the garden. Yeah. I remember that. That was cool. That was the last time we saw. But from a business point of view, not seen you for some time. And listen, you've had a ridiculously exciting 4 years.
Yeah.
Because I met you in 2018, where you come along as, I'll be honest, a little bit of a young, cocky little 20-year-old.
Yeah.
Who wanted to take on the world, which I always knew you would, and you're doing that. So just quickly tell people who you are, what you do, and just a quick overview of who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so I met Alistair like 4 years ago at an event. Prior to that, I'd had some relatively dead-end jobs, stacked some shelves, and then kind of fell into the world of property. Found it completely accidentally one day. My dad invited me down to a networking event and heard about a guy saying how you could buy houses and no money. And I thought, that sounds good. I've got no money. I'd like to buy a house. Yeah. So kind of went on the back of that. And it was at this event that I then met Alistair. And to be honest, mate, you were one of the big inspirations of me getting into it. Like, hand on heart, that's genuinely true. Because of where you were and the fact that you'd only started effectively like 3-4 months before me.
I met you in January 2018. Yeah. I started March time, January 2017.
Okay, so about 9 months before, but it was still pretty
within the year,
on.
Definitely.
And seeing where you got to, who you are as well, and obviously where you come from and your story, which is incredibly powerful, you know. And you said we need you on the academy, and I was like, okay, cool. I want to get a part of that. Yeah. I want to learn more about the property business. So I started doing that, got into it. Whilst I was going through my training, I decided I needed a bit of income, so I got a job as a sparky to tie me over for the year. Loved that, learnt a lot. Got into property then full time. Was able to quit my job in September 18.
Yeah.
That was when I also sold my first deal and went on from there. And since then, really focused on deal sourcing, build that business up. Got to about sort of 2.5 years in and wanted to begin to sort of systemize that, step out of it, very similar to what you did. Yeah. And I enjoyed aspects of it, but a lot of it wasn't for me.
Headaches, yeah.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I love my clients. I love meeting them. I love all that side of it. But a lot of the other stuff is just, it's not that interesting for me. And I really wanted to focus on the raising finance side of stuff. It was during this period, obviously, I met Anthony as well, did the eviction with him. That was insane. We really worked well on the back of that. And I always wanted to get in developments. I remember way back when, I probably said it to you when I was at one of those first courses, you know, I wanted to get into big
I know you always
deals.
wanted to do bigger stuff. You always wanted to do bigger stuff. Like the deal sourcing is, for those that don't know, property deal sourcing is where you find a property investment, you do the due diligence, you view it, you analyse it, you then package it up and you sell it to somebody who doesn't really want to have to go through the effort of finding, and you charge a fee. Yeah. Typically £2,000, £3,000, £4,000, £5,000. Okay. Big deals you charge more, but it's a good way to make quick cash. Okay. And I taught you that strategy. Yeah. And in your first year, you banked how much?
Literally a shade under 100 grand, 99,600.
So nearly a 6-figure earner from the strategy I taught you back in 2018. And for most people, that would be
nuts.
And it was. As a 20-year-old.
It was insane. I'd never seen that much money in my life. Yeah. Like, genuinely, like, looking in the bank, and I was like...
Do you remember the first time you sold a big deal, or your first time you sold more than one deal a day? Like, you made a couple of deals, and you got like 6 grand, 7 grand hitting your account, and you're like, hey,
wow,
that's
like half a year's salary.
I'd
come out at like 19,000 a year, and then to see, well, you bank more than that in a day on some days. Yeah. It's like, wow, like this is nuts. It is crazy. And
absolutely.
For me, it was when I first sold the deal, I was still super excited all the way up to it. I was pumped, I was loving it. And then when I had that first deal go through and I got paid for the first time, like I can still remember that feeling now.
It's good, isn't it?
It stands the hairs.
Do you know why? It stands the hair in your back of your neck up, because that was when you realised the power of business.
Yeah.
Because when you see it, you cannot unsee it.
Yeah.
So
and
there's no way. There's no way you're going back to business. You're going back to the job. There's no way when you can make £2,000, £3,000, £4,000, £5,000. I mean, you've done a big deal, and I'm going to talk to you about that in a minute. But you've done a big deal, and have got a big finder's fee, and like it's just nuts. Like it's nuts. 100k or thereabouts, short of maybe £100, whatever. 99,000 for you pedantic people, but 100k in your first year.
Yeah.
Then you moved on to the raising finance side of things. Okay, so I don't want to jump too far front, right? Deal sourcing, what did you do with that? You were selling deals, 100k. How did you go about, because do you still do deal sourcing now?
We still deal source.
Yeah.
It's way less of a focus, for sure,
100%.
but it's still there. You know, you don't throw away something that makes money.
No. But did you systemize it? Did you?
Systemized it. Obviously, it took time. It's not something you do overnight. And systemizing a deal sourcing business isn't the same as systemizing, say, an HMO, where you can get a great management company. It's mostly there.
It's very not.
It's systemizing a business. It means staff members. It means all the associated HR and paperwork that goes with that. It's training people. It's motivating people. It's dealing with some of their problems as and when things come up. And it's,
do you know the biggest problem with trying to find staff for deal sourcing business?
People who it's getting the balance between an entrepreneur and an employee.
Yep.
And I don't always want employees because they just turn up for a paycheck and they've got no interest in excelling or going further. But if you have someone who's too entrepreneurial, then eventually, exactly, they're going to go. And you can't argue with that, because if you were in that situation, you do exactly the same thing.
Yeah, the biggest problem I've always found with bringing staff into my deal sourcing business is teaching them to sell the way I sell. And teaching them to be the way I am, because I started my deal sourcing business, Better Source, and it was me. Everything was me.
Same.
So I run that business for the first 2 years, and in my first year, made like 150k. Second year, made this sort of similar amount. Then I started to systemize it, and I had to let go of the reins a little bit.
And there's a period where it will be a bit rough when you let go of the reins.
But I
have to let them fail.
I found a really great guy, but I pay him incredibly well.
You do,
and I look after him. And he helps me with the business, and we've got some big plans together going forward. How did you systemize yours? Did you just bring people in to help you, or?
Yeah, very similar. I kept hold the reins to begin with and just got rid of certain aspects I didn't need. I mean, step one was to start outsourcing. Don't do your own bookkeeping, get a bookkeeper. Little bits like that. And then it was a case of starting to employ people, and similar to you, we have like the hand-holding process that comes afterwards. That's where most of the time and the hassle is.
How do you find that side of the business?
These days I have a lot less to do with it.
Okay, good.
At the start, it wasn't too bad because there weren't that many deals and that many clients. It was somewhat manageable. But when I took on the member of staff who ran with that, you know, she started and did a full 40 to 50 hours a week every week from the day that she started, and I was running that beforehand. And the standard increased, and it's interesting. You know, you have the whole whales, wasters, and wimps, and it's so true. Like, that is so true.
Oh, you're talking about the investors.
The types of investors.
I categorise investors into three: whales, the big spenders; wimps, the people that they might buy, but they need a bit of a hand holding; and wasters, the people that will constantly waste your time.
Well, the wimps are the really frustrating one, because you get really good at spotting the wasters. You have 30 seconds on the phone with them, you're like, right, end of story. Like, whales, you'll give them all your time and your energy, because they tend to have a lot of money as well, and it's worth it. And then you've got the wimps who sit in the middle. And some of them,
always on that bloody fence, aren't they?
Some of them are okay, and once you've got them over, they'll work with you, they trust you. Some of them just never stop asking questions. And I had an email literally like 3-4 weeks ago, it came through, and it was like paragraphs. And I was just like, and that's when I'm like, you know, I really can't be bothered with this. Because I know
it's not worth the $3,000, is it?
No, because like, we've done these deals ourselves, and we just go, sort it.
So just deal
and
with
you just trust your team, and maybe you make £1,000 less or make £1,000 more. It's irrelevant.
Big picture.
Big picture. You've got a house, it makes you rent.
I was speaking to another deal sourcer yesterday, and we've all got the same problems. And he said he's got this particular investor at the minute that said he's paid him £2,500 for finding the deal. But this investor is like, I want a daily update on what's going on.
You ain't getting one of them.
Right? And this guy said, his name's Patrick, he was on the show a couple of weeks ago. Patrick said, he goes, no, that's not how I work. I'll give you a weekly update, but you're not getting a daily update because I'm not your employee. Right? At the end of the day, the £2,500 is my fee for me finding and securing and negotiating and meeting the builder, all that sort of stuff. If you want hand holding, then you got to pay for that. If you want me to project manage, you got to pay for that. Right? And there comes a point where, and I know you'll do this very well because I know the type of person you are, but you've got to sack your customer.
Yeah.
And you've got to get rid of the people that are draining
you.
you.
So the first time, people, whether you refund them or not, if they pull out or otherwise, it's irrelevant. At the end of it, I'd always look at it after the deal's finished. I look at it and go, do I want to work with this person again? If I don't, maybe I'll send them a polite message. Maybe I won't. But I'll just take them off the list.
Take them off the list. Yeah.
I'm not interested in doing business with you.
How do you
have the hassle?
It's not worth it. I get it. So I was actively in my deal sourcing business a few weeks ago, and I was selling some deals, and I had quite a few people say, "Oh no, I'm not paying your fee up front," and I'm like, "Okay, great, cool, no problem." So
I know who you are now. So it's fine.
So I basically said to them, I said, "Look, that's my business works in the way you pay me up front. If you don't like that, there's no point you being on my list. So shall I just remove you from the list?" Oh, whoa, hold on, no. I'm like, no. Listen, my business, my rules. Yeah. I set the rules. If you don't want to pay the fee up front, then we are never going to do business, so you don't need to be on my database. And I just remove them, and they hate it. They absolutely hate it. It's so funny.
But I think this industry is very, very challenging because we'll both agree there are tons of bad sources out there. And not just people who sell terrible deals, but people who are terrible at customer service. I mean, we say, all right, we're not going to give you a daily update, but we'll always be honest with you. We'll be transparent with you. We'll give you the heads up. We'll solve the problems for you. We're reasonable people. We'll have a chat.
Yeah.
And if that means late at night, it means late at night.
Yeah. We're not 9 to 5. Yeah, because I don't work 9 to 5.
But there's tons of bad sources out there. So I get it from the investor's point of view.
They're worried because the thing is, these bad sources, and I'll tell you now where they come from. They come from an abundance of, sort of, I don't want to say free events, but
it's the lower end events.
The lower end events. They don't teach everything. Yeah, 100%. So it's the lower end free events, YouTube channels, all that sort of stuff that say, "Hey, this strategy is easy. You can become a millionaire. Go out and do this. Go out and do that." But the reality is, they don't teach them. No. They don't teach them how to do due diligence. They don't teach them how to actually have customer service. They don't teach them business. Right?
That's the difference.
Business is about people. Okay. And what happens is you get these people that don't really have much money, they don't have any clue how to run a business, they're out there trying to find deals and they're trying to sell to investors, and they might get lucky, they might sell 1 or 2 deals. But the reality is you don't need to cry, mate. You don't need to cry. Yeah, I completely agree with you. At some of these events, they just don't teach them proper due diligence, they don't teach them how to actually structure the business properly. Actually, they don't teach them business. And because of that, the people leave, they're really motivated. They go out, they find deals, they do what they've got to do, they sell to an investor, but because they don't have that skill set to run a business, they don't then follow through and do it properly. Worst case, the deal falls through, they've spent the money, and then they can't refund. And then what that does is that ruins the industry, because then investors are once bitten, twice shy. They're not going to pay a fee up front to honest people with integrity because the bad people have ruined it for them. And that's one thing that does bug me. Anyway, deal sourcing business, you've done 100k in the first year, you went on done really, really well going forward, but it didn't stop there.
No,
I always knew you wanted bigger things, and you've gone on to do bigger things. Come on, let's talk about some of these
deal sourcing was great. I learned how to set deals up as well, which is fantastic. And then I got to the end of it, and I started thinking, instead of asking for $3,000, why don't I just say, do you want to go halves? Why don't we start joint venture?
Because then you can start building your long-term wealth.
Because deal sourcing is great for that quick cash flow.
Yep.
But it's not passive, and it's not necessarily. It's not. If you stop, it's not consistent.
I want to emphasize this. It's not passive.
It's so far from passive. It's a joke.
It is a joke.
When you start out, it's not even a 40-hour or a 50-hour week. Like if you want to start deal sourcing properly and you want to do $100,000 in your first year, it's an 80, 100, 120-hour week job, and it is hard work getting off the ground. When you've got no investors and you've got no deals. You're doing 12, 15, 16-hour days. And if you think it's going to be anything other than that, you're probably a little bit delusional. There's a lot of work that goes into it. Yes, after a bit, it becomes easier. It becomes more consistent. You do get paid well for your time. But it isn't passive.
So you started asking your investors, and you started saying, look, instead of you just give me $3,000, do you want a JV and we'll do it together?
Yeah.
So what happened? Tell me about some of the deals you put together for that.
So the first one actually was similar to that. Lady came to me, she had about 130,000 give or take, but she couldn't get lending, she couldn't get mortgages, she had bad credit history, all the rest of it. And so she was going through this, she was like, I just want a deal that makes 8%. And I'm like,
it's easy.
Why don't I guarantee you 10?
Yeah.
And the cogs start clicking, I'm like, there's a joint venture opportunity here. So We didn't actually end up going for an out-and-out JV. She ended up lending me the money on a facility over 2 years. It structured really, really well. It was a really good one for me because she was insistent on having a first charge and stuff like that, which can be quite tricky if you don't have a house yet to offer.
But the problem with first charge is if they don't lend you enough money,
then you can't complete.
You can't complete because you can't put a first charge if you've got bridging, because bridges want first charge.
Yeah.
And then getting a second charge is like hen's teeth. You ain't going to do it.
It's very difficult, especially on cheap houses.
Yeah, exactly.
They just won't do it.
Yeah.
So I ended up going for something called a facility, which is similar to a loan, and it basically meant solicitor held the money. They could release it to me, and I'd agree with her. Although, if I'm buying a house 50, 60k, she'll have a first charge for 50, 60k. She'll lend another 10, 15, 20 for a bit of a refurb on top. So there was an element of risk from her, and I paid her probably more than I should have, and not as much as I'd pay now. And yeah, that was kind of my first experience of raising finance. So I went out and I bought a buy refurb refinance. Believe it or not, a deal we couldn't sell.
Oh really?
Which was nuts because I left 50 quid in that deal, and it was one of the best deals I've ever done in my life.
Isn't that funny? Because that happens to me quite often.
Such a good deal.
You have these deals come up, and they're buy refurb refinance, and they're like we're looking at them thinking that's a great deal, but for whatever reason, maybe you're not in a position to do it at the time. Maybe you've got to raise finance, etc., etc. Maybe you're buying deals.
I hadn't met this lady when the deal came along, and I was trying to flog it. I was like, I had people who were desperate for it, and now. If it was the current market, I could sell a deal for 10 grand tomorrow.
Of course, 100%, right? So, you then do the deal with somebody else's money, get all of that money back, pay them back, so they're happy, but you own the asset.
And I rented out for more than I said I would. I said 425, 450, and I filled it at 500, and it's still filled now.
Where is that?
It's up in Blackburn.
Blackburn, awesome. So a little deal, how much did you buy it for?
48.
And what did you sell it for, or what did you refinance it for? What did it end value?
85.
Happy days, so you got all your money back and some whatever. Great deal. Okay, that's deal number one. What happened next?
Then I bought a house down in South Wales.
Awesome.
Interestingly, Hannah Mills came to me and was like, hey, I've got a house, I'm raising finance, you anyone who's got it? And I was just coming to the end of this one and was like, I need another deal.
Yeah.
And it was nuts because I bought it, I completed on September 19 before COVID. I needed a bit more extra money for the refurb, and we were selling deals, and I kind of just sat on it for a few months anyway. Normally I would say that's a terrible idea, and it probably was at the time, but then COVID hit. That house went up by 40 grand during COVID, so I just made an extra chunk of cash that I wasn't anticipating.
Have you got it or did you sell it?
It should complete sale tomorrow.
Oh, so you're looking to sell? Oh, so you sell tomorrow?
Cash bar at 155, and I bought it for 65.
How much did you refurb?
36.
So you're about 85, 90k.
I'm in for about 100 with fees.
With fees and lending and stuff. Okay, and you're going to sell it for 150.
155.
Make 50k.
Happy days.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, I didn't really do anything for that either because Hannah was in the local area. She had the builders go in.
So Hannah's, you might have seen Hannah on previous shows and things like that. Hannah's a great lady from South Wales, rent to rent, service accommodation sort of master down there. I'm going to get her on.
She's moving on to bigger stuff now. She's a cool person, but similar to Anthony, and indeed you, we all kind of met at a similar time, at a similar stage of the journey. We all get on because we're all straight talking people who put business first.
To the point,
And one of the things I love with you, same with everyone else, if there's a problem, forget the problem, what's the solution? It's straight on to that. And if you want to move into bigger deals and start doing joint ventures and start taking other people's money to then do deals of your own, you've got to understand how that works because there's a lot of pressure on you and a lot of responsibility to deliver that deal so you can pay people back.
Yeah, of course.
Because let's not forget, security is great for investors, but if you've got a first charge, it could still be a year and a half before you get your money back going through the courts for repossession.
Of course,
and it's a long, painful, slow process.
I mean, you don't want it, but it's also costful.
It's very costly. And fine, whoever you've lent the money to will have to cover your costs in the contract, but again, it's 18 months down the line, and it's just a pain in the ass.
And all this time, it's hemorrhaging your cash, it's hemorrhaging the deal, and it's not going forward.
And you haven't got your money back, so you can't reinvest it. There's a lot of problems.
You've got all these little buy-to-lets that are doing well. Where did it come where you went from buy-to-lets to dealing with 9 big developments? Now I know you formed partnership with Anthony Wilmot and David Taylor. Anthony was on the show a couple of weeks back. Go back if you've not seen it. There's a link below. Go and watch that. And that was an awesome episode. And Anthony's an awesome guy. You went into partnership with Anthony.
I did.
Dave Taylor. We're going to get him on very, very soon. So make sure you look out for that. And you'll hear all 3 versions of the story. Okay. 9 developments in excess of 50, 60 million pounds worth of GDV. I'm assuming because you're tight, you didn't put any of your own money into that.
We did on some deals, but by and large, no.
Because you're involved in the castle, aren't you?
Yeah, the castle's the one we put the most money in.
We got a little bit of a story from Anthony on that. I remember Anthony was telling us the drive up the lane and he saw the castle and he went, James, you know we're buying it, don't you?
Yeah.
And it was it's just a cool story, man. So
that one was hard.
Yeah.
It was so hard because I'm quite good at taking the emotion out, but
I
even
remember
with that deal, it was,
I remember
it was good.
we were at an event about a year and a half ago, and you had to find, I think I think the number was 40,000. And you needed about 24-hour period to find 40k for that deal.
Yeah.
And something happened. I can't remember what it was, but you needed to find an X amount of money very quickly.
That deal, I'm telling you now, should not exist. There is no way in hell we should have completed on that. At every stage of the process, something came up and we were like, how the hell are we going to solve this?
Yeah.
It started out, we went to view it, and they cancelled the viewing because someone had decided to buy it. We were like,
Oh, wow.
2 months later, agent rings you back, so it's back on the market. Has an agent ever done that? Whenever you're viewing a house, any house, and you're like, oh, that's right, someone else has got it, let me know if it comes back on. The only agent in my life ever to ring me back
Was
saying,
for Derelict
hey, you
Castle
still
in
interested
North
Derelict
Wales.
Castle? So then we went up and viewed it, it was amazing, we put our offer in at 400k, and then we're going through the process, we'd agreed an extended completion and all the rest of it for the planning. And we were just building relationships, and then we were trying to get into the planning, and then we realised there's like a 10 grand fee for the planning, and plus all these reports, and we're like, and we got to a cost of about 40 grand initially.
Yeah.
Initially. Then we started going through a little bit further, and we get to November, December time, because that was about August when you and I spoke, and we did solve that. And then we get a call from the agent saying, the vendors just had a cash offer at 650. You're at 400,
yeah.
conditional. What do you want to do? So I'm chatting with them. I don't know what I said, if I'm honest with you. I do not know what I said that convinced the agent to carry on going with us. I think a lot of it came from the fact that Anthony and I built a great relationship with them early on, and we brought David down earlier as well. We said, we're going to get an architect out, we're going to get a structural engineer out.
So you can see you're serious.
Yeah, we were doing all of this.
But
we
that's
sent
a
over
big
proof
jump
of funds
from 400
to 650.
That's
and their cash.
Yeah.
As is subject to planning, which means it's another 12, 18 months.
And it could fall through.
Like, anyway, they agreed to go with us, and we upped our offer to 420.
Awesome.
So I gave an extra 20 grand. And then we said we'd exchange in a couple of weeks, so we did that. And then we came up to exchange. Exchange was due for the 1st of April 2020. What happened on the 23rd of March 2020?
Lockdown.
And you remember this. That first email you sent out after lockdown happened, how many responses did you get? None. Sod all. I thought something was broken. It wasn't like, oh, COVID. I was just like, I thought something was broken. I thought the email had gone out or something, because it'd been great up to that point. We were cleaning up.
You know, the first, from my deal sourcing business, the start of 2020 was the 3 strongest months we had.
Same.
And even the week before COVID.
You could sell anything. You could sell
a 10% like 10% buy to let.
Yeah.
And you get 3 grand for it.
Yeah.
We were selling 15 deals a week. Not 15 deals a month. Yeah, we were making a lot of money.
It was nuts.
And then COVID, it was like somebody literally turned off the tap. But we only had 1 week where we didn't sell anything in COVID, and that was the first week. And then the first month we sold 1 or 2 deals. And then April, from March to April we sold maybe 2 deals, and then gradually it started to pick up again. And then before you know it, bang.
Yeah.
But the problem we got with sourcing now is stock.
Yeah, stock.
Yeah, but it's
all-time lows of new houses on the market now. All-time lows in the market.
I know.
Which is crazy, and normal house buyers are doing it anyway. So we got to exchange, and I'm trying to raise finance, pulling out my arse. First week of COVID, no one wants to buy anything, no one wants to lend anything. Everyone's like, whoa. We eventually did it. We got a little bit of money through, and we were able to put the exchange down, which we needed, which was like 5% as well. So we needed like 40,000 for that. That loan's all been repaid now. And to be honest, I don't even remember the terms on it. It was that long ago. The amount of stuff
look, Anthony did explain a lot about the castle project, so I don't want to go too much into that because I don't want to say and repeat. Talk to me about one of the deals. We know about the pub, the pub in Wigan, and we know about the castle.
Yeah.
What deals are you involved in? Give me an example of one of the deals.
So we've got 14 new build houses going up in Blackburn.
Awesome.
Which is an awesome site. Also interesting because it's moved pretty much smoothly and perfectly as we would expect it, apart from the 9 months of delays with planning. With COVID, purely because of COVID.
So you bought the land for how much?
415 off the top of my head.
And who paid for that?
An investor.
Investor?
Yeah.
So you got pretty good at raising finance, so like you're pretty good at that.
I'd say so.
And then you've got, is that through AWT with you and Dave?
Yeah, that's with everyone, yeah.
So you've got Dave doing the consultancy with and Anthony with that side of things. You're involved with the raising finance side of things. Let's talk numbers. Alright, so this deal you've got in Blackburn, it's Blackburn, wasn't it, with the flats?
Blackburn, yeah.
How much you buy the land for?
400 grand.
Roughly, these are just rough, these are not to the pound, they're rough estimates. 400 grand. The development cost?
Give or take, just a little under 2 mil. With all your professional fees, all your management, which in development is a significant chunk of your cost.
I'm going to come back to this very shortly, yeah? And then what's the end value roughly?
Just over 3.1 mil.
So there's a nice, healthy little...
800 grand profit, yeah.
I was going to say half that, but there was a nice healthy little 800k profit between you as a group, AWT. Okay, you're going to make some good money there. Go back to that bit in the middle, the development costs.
Development costs.
What's the biggest problem you see with people trying to sell developments?
They miss out professional fees. Or worse, they put them in, but they're like just bog standard numbers that aren't right. If you take the cost as a prime example, you're not going to get management at 1% of build cost. No, you're just not. It's
the middle of nowhere,
It's middle of nowhere, access to pain in the ass, and it's a specialist building, specialist trades. So you're going to need someone who knows what they're doing. You pay more for that.
It's just
utilities. Oh yeah, it'll be £1,000 a unit. Okay, how long's your electrical run? It's 10 miles that way.
Yeah,
it ain't going to be £1,000.
No, I know it's not.
And it's all of these bits that go with.
I had a farmer that I used to know built a house on his farm, but he acquired this land back in the 80s, and he built it from the ground up.
Right.
And he put houses on there and all sorts, but he had no electric, so he had to run it from the main road, and it was probably a kilometre.
Wow.
That cost 40,000.
Yeah.
40k to run it, and that was in the 90s. From there, 1k, so he had electrical on his bit of land, cost 40k.
We paid 16 grand for the pub's electric, and it's like a 15-metre run.
Yeah, and obviously that was in the 90s, whatever, maybe the cost is different now, I don't know, but that's just an example. Alright, so you've got this big deal, you're creating homes.
Yeah, 14 brand new houses.
Did you believe 4 years ago when I said to you, James, you need to do this training, and you need to get involved, you need to learn, did you believe that you'd now be a builder, a developer,
Not this
home
quick.
builder?
Not this quick. I mean, I knew long term, and you have to have the belief before you get into it. If
of course,
then you won't make
There's
it.
one thing that I know you never doubted yourself, and that's the belief in yourself.
Yeah.
And that's not cockiness. That is, you were always very, look, I knew I was going to be successful. It just depends on what the vehicle is to get you there.
Yeah, and it's like, I can do this. I didn't know how long it was going to take, and there was so much that I didn't know, which was why it was so awesome when I met up with the guys, and they had complementary skills to mine.
It's interesting because you're part of a team with Anthony and David, and you're all different age groups.
Yeah.
So you've got, I would say, all different from generations. So you're 20s, Anthony's in his 30s, Dave's in his 50s, 40s or 50, I don't know, but he's the next one up, yeah? He comes with the most experience. So you've got all different takes on things. So maybe you're better at one thing than they are. So I think as a team, you work very, very well.
Yeah, and you've got balance of opinions and ideas as well.
Yeah.
You know, me and David are great because he's obviously got a lot more experience in business than I do. I'm younger, but then sometimes it flips on his head.
Yeah.
You know, it's great. And I love working with the guys, and we have a really, really good relationship between the three of us, which makes delivering deals a hell of a lot easier. But it also meant I could focus on what I love.
Yeah, of course.
Which was the raising finance side, which was always where I wanted to get to.
Building relationships.
Building relationships, going out and meeting people, you know. And they say that the minute that you love what you do, you never work another day in your life. And that is so true. You know, I remember when I was at school and I was looking at going to investment banking, and I saw 80 to 100 hours a week, and I was like, forget that.
That's a job, isn't it?
That's a job. And now I'll do those hours, very similar to you, and it doesn't feel like anything. In fact, it's great fun, and you get up in the morning and you enjoy what you do. And sometimes, you know, I've been away and I've had a few days off or whatever, and I've got a little bit bored halfway through, and I'll pick the phone up and ring someone because it's good fun, and I'll start doing deals or whatever, because that's what life is all about, and it's the relationships.
I can't go on holidays because after 2-3 days I'm like, I need to get out, I need
Unless
to do
it's like
something.
an action-packed holiday, but then they'll last for more than a couple of days anyway, aren't they?
I know.
But,
alright,
so yeah, big deals was always my goal. I wanted to get into that. I knew that I would get there at some point. I always wanted to build an empire. I always wanted to. It shocked me when I joined a lot of these training courses and people only wanted to make 100 grand a year, and I was like, well, fantastic for you, but I thought everyone was here to make an empire. I thought, you know, people are going to be billionaires. I thought that was the genuine goal. That's my goal, is I want to get a B on my net worth. Not a million. I mean, that'll be great, but a billion is where you want to get to, and that's not something you can achieve overnight. That's a 40, 50-year game. You've got to work through it. And I knew
you've got to start somewhere.
You've got to start somewhere, but I knew to get there.
At the beginning, it starts by first creating a 6-figure income.
Yep.
Then moving from 6-figure to multiple 6 figures, and then to 7 figures,
and
then
you build upon each one, and you go that way. But what I also realised is I was never going to do it deal sourcing 3 grand deals.
No, you're not.
How many deals do you have to sell to make $1 billion if you do it 3 grand at a time?
Yeah,
a lot.
But that's one business.
You've got to begin to jump.
And the thing is with deal sourcing that can generate cash flow to then start buying your buy refurbs, your little developments,
And it
then
builds the
it's
relationships
skills.
with the people
Because-
who are then going to help you in the bigger deals,
Yes.
who then unlock the doors further on, and it gives you that grounding. And let's not forget, you want to do a development deal, you still got to know how to value a house.
Yeah, but that's the thing, exactly. And the problem I see a lot is people that are new to the industry.
Never going
and
to want to do developments.
all they want to do is developments. They only
Yeah.
want to do developments,
Yeah.
right? Where literally they have no idea. They've never bought a 3-bed terrace. They've never valued a 4-bed semi. They don't have a clue at value build cost, but yet they want to do a development on a bit of land with 6 houses. It blows my mind. Blows my mind.
I guess it's technically possible, but you're
Come
asking for a
on.
failure there. Like, and again, raising finance, this isn't ever really spoken about. What you swap for not putting your money in, you take back in stress.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Because you have to, I mean, we've got, if I included senior debt from banks when everything's up to where it's going to be, at peak, we'll have something like £50 million worth of debt. Like, most people struggle when they've got a £2,000 credit card bill.
I know,
Like,
they panic, don't they? They panic.
there is a weight to that, and of course it's good debt, so it is thought through, and
Yeah.
we know we can pay it back, and there are various exits for it, but there's still an element of pressure there, and with other people's money as well. There's, I know
Do
you
you
and I
prefer-
share this, there's the
Go on.
moral side of it, of actually, I want to honour what I've said to this person. It ain't about whether I'm legally required to. That's irrelevant. It's just someone has lent me money. There's a trust there.
And it's their hard-earned money that they've
It's
worked their
their
ass
life
off.
savings.
Yeah.
It's their own home.
You've
If
got to
they've
look after
refinanced
that.
it, like it means stuff. So you build these relationships with people. You genuinely get to know who these people are,
Yeah.
and you genuinely want to deliver for them. So you do have to bear that in mind. You've got to manage expectations. You've got to make sure everything works. But on a small little deal, if there's 40, 50 grand at stake and it goes sour, it's 40, 50 grand.
Yeah.
On a big deal, when there's millions or tens of millions of pounds at stake, that isn't something you can just walk away
That's a
from.
lifelong.
That's a life thing that sticks with you.
Sticks for you, yeah.
And so you've got to get it right, and you've got to think this through. So if you are going to move into development, hey, go for it. But make sure you've got a good grounding first. Make sure you know what you're getting into.
I
and
agree
you
with that.
genuinely are going in with your eyes open, not just what you might hear on, say, social media from a few people who are keen on blasting these, oh, you can make 10 grand a month from an SA, or you can make $1 million
Yeah.
a year from a development deal. Like, again, all of this is technically possible, but it's more the realistic side of it. These deals take 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, of course they do, yeah.
There's a lot of time and effort that goes into it. There's a lot of money behind it. There's a lot of different elements of the process, and these planning documents can be tens, if not hundreds, of pages long. And
I
you've
know,
got to
you've
check
got to understand them,
You've
yeah,
actually
yeah.
got to check them.
I
You can't just go,
know.
oh, it's fine, and move on.
No, you can't just say, I know.
Like, there are sites on the market with planning that don't work.
Yeah, I know.
You've got to check it.
I know. Development's huge, right? You got an amazing future waiting to happen, and you're actually, that's the wrong word. It's not waiting to happen. You're making it happen.
Yeah.
So I take that back. You're making your future happen. It's great. It's actually really inspirational. I was like, you're 20-year-old when you came in. You're now 24. You're doing amazing things. It's just great. We've worked together on a couple of deals, and we've worked together. I've done some training with you, and yeah, it's been a pleasure seeing your journey. And if I've been a small part of that, that's all I want to do. And I think it's awesome. Listen, guys, make sure you go and follow this guy, because he's going to be something big to look out for. So make sure you're watching that, right? Go and follow him. We'll put his details down below. Check out the company, AWT. That'll be down below as well. Make sure you go and check them out. Connect with Anthony, connect with James. You're going to see Dave very, very soon. That's the threesome. That's the team, yeah? Development-wise, if you've got any developments you want help with, reach out to these boys. They'll help you out with that. My name's Alistair Cunningham. This is James Armstrong. Like, share, follow. Make sure you're telling everyone about this. This is Elite Entrepreneurs podcast by Alistair Cunningham. This is James. Thanks very much. See you next time. Let's not leave it so long this time. It's been like 2 years.
We'll make it sooner.
We need to make
We'll
it sooner, right? Guys, peace out, much love. See you next time.